Hey guys, I am super impressed with how well these guys are foraging. They are foraging really well on this electric fence system so far. They're still relatively young. They're about 4 weeks. They're about halfway there. So I'm really curious if this foraging drive is going to keep up as they age and get larger. But man, they're moving really well. They're looking really healthy, and they're foraging really well. So I'm really impressed so far. I didn't think they would forage this well, to be honest, and so they're surpassing my expectations with this system, and it's given me really high hopes for working with this breed. And if you give them the right stimuluses, you can produce behaviors that you want in the bird. And I want a more natural chicken, more foraging drive type Cornish. And if I can produce that with this electric fence system, I'm going to be really happy and using it more. And something just flew overhead, and they instantly ran towards the chicken tractors for safety. So those instincts, man, they're looking really good at this age. So this experiment is getting more interesting. I've always favored the Freedom Rangers because of how well they forage, and then those chicken instincts are still there. But on this system, these chickens are doing really well. And I'm curious too, so this is where they're foraging. This over here is where they're sleeping. So they're getting a lot of exercise. All their feed is out in the field. So where they're sleeping, over here, and where their feed is, that encourages them to go out to the field. And those feeders only have so much space, so they have to take turns, and they're foraging well. But something I'm really curious about is Cornish cross are known for having more, heart problems because they're growing so fast, and more leg problems. And they're getting so much more exercise on this system. I'm really curious. I planned for about 5% loss in Cornish cross when I raised them in chicken tractors. So chicken tractors are a wonderful tool. So don't I'm not downing them at all, but I'm hoping with this system it might be, their food conversion rates might be worse, but man, they're getting a lot more exercise, and I'm hoping that makes for a more robust birds in the legs and better heart health, and maybe even slow down their growth a little bit in a positive way. So they're growing at a better pace because they're burning more calories and getting more exercise. So I think this is a good system so far. It's early morning, and there are no feeders out on pasture anymore. And you can see they're still going out on pasture. So they have a drive to get out there and get some nutrition for themselves off the land. They are a far way off from that feeder. Their feeders, I don't know if you can see it, is behind my head about right there on that deep bedding. And they are really getting at it this morning. One just got shocked. Every once in a while you see that, but not very often. But I just wanted you guys to see, man, foraging drive's still there. I'm really impressed. Hey guys, update on the Cornish cross. I got them all in the coop here. We've been having some big downpours. We're having some flooding around where I am. I got them in this chicken tractor too out here out in the field, and I've still been happy with how they're foraging. But something that did happen last night is it's not quite as easy to train these guys to get under the coops. I had a couple that didn't get under the coop on last night's downpour, and I did lose them. And that's partially my fault. I should have kept a better eye on that. I assumed they knew to get under the chicken tractors. Most of them did, but this big downpour, I did have to guide them again. I had to pick up maybe 50 to 60 of them and show them shelter. Again, that might not be a reflection of the breed. That could be my husbandry and being more aware that I did need to be more intentional of showing these guys where shelter is. I've never had to do that with Freedom Rangers. They figure it out really quickly, but overall still very happy with them. But I did want to point out that factor where if I would have had them locked in the chicken tractor for a couple days for them to recognize it as home, this problem might not even be an issue. So again, could be me, but something I wanted to share with you guys.
My muscles.
They're pretty big. Can you lift it?
It's right now.
I moved their electric fences maybe a little over a day ago, and they're just now getting the hang of how to get back out the pasture. It took them a day or so, and it's been raining a lot, so they've wanted to stay hunkered down, but they're catching on. Some of these guys will start to catch on here soon. They don't have any feet in there, so they'll start following everybody else out, and then realize, oh hey, this is how I get to the new pasture. So they're doing good. I mean, they're not quite a Freedom Ranger, but I'm still impressed how they're foraging. So they're doing well. My loss is a lot less. So usually I average from 4 to 5% loss in Cornish cross. I think I've lost 2 in this batch of 225. Something though is I had to move their processor date from 8 weeks to 9 weeks because they're growing a little bit slower, which that makes sense because they're moving more. They have more access for kind of more exercise, and then I'm putting their grain out where they have to walk a good ways to get the grain. We're in a chicken tractor. It's just right there accessible, even though I'm restricting feed. So they're getting more exercise, so they're burning some more calories, and that's fine. But so I did have to move that back, but I'm still really happy how they're doing and how they're working on this system. I did end up having to push their processor date back to 9 weeks instead of 8 weeks because, you know, they're able to move more, so they burn more calories. I didn't lose any to hawks, so they had a good predator awareness. They were able to get away, which is a lot of people's critiques. I did tend to have less leg problems or heart attack problems. I lost 4, I believe, out of the 225, which is really good statistics. So that went really well. And you know, hey, I had to put the feeders out on pasture. As soon as they got into that rhythm, they started really foraging well. The Freedom Ranger, you wouldn't quite have to do that. There were a couple times you'll see in the videos I had to really teach them to get, you know, where their coverage was at during a heavy rain. Where a Freedom Ranger, I don't think I would have to do that. I'm not sure if it came up quite the context like it did, but the Freedom Ranger does seem to have better instincts, a better foraging drive. There's just a lot more grace in that breed, where the Cornish cross, they're not quite as smart, but hey, they make a great tasting product. For a bird that, you know, was bred for the context of the factories, it did well in this system. But again, I didn't just have a feeder in their home and let them, you know, kind of sit by it. I had to encourage them to come out to pasture and learn some behaviors, and they did well. But you know, husbandry is a part of livestock, so that's not a critique of the bird. But they did well. I'm gonna be really happy with the final product, I'm sure. And I would do a system like this again with this breed for sure. So great economical bird raised on pasture, more accessible to the public from a financial perspective, and I'm really happy with how it went.